On a scale of hot to go, what would you rate the weather?
I think
Would you give it
HOTTO. Yeah, I think.
Really?
I would agree.
Let's talk about amusement parks, like rides in the dark. Rides right here and rides all over, but mostly coasters, We'll talk about all kind of things, but mostly coasters.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is a channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today I am at Knott's Berry Farm. Haven't been to a theme park in quite some time, honestly. I'm super excited to get some rides. It is going to be a hot day in the hundreds. Hopefully we don't melt and burn, but we'll find some good ways to stay out of the sun and stay cool. And on an early fall Monday in the sweltering heat, crowd should at least be not too bad. And you can see already, it is pretty empty. Guess you could call it a ghost town. Since not much else is open and Ghotrider is right by the front of the park anyway, we may as well make that the first stop of the day. And even though the queue line is very uncomfortable and stuffy in the heat, the coaster itself runs incredibly fast when it is hot like this. Oh man, it has been like 5 months since I've been on a roller coaster, which is just wild. I'm having withdrawals, or was at least until I got on that thing. Holy heck, that was insanely fast. The heat is definitely doing its work. That is just such a solid, exciting, intense ride. The first drop back row, so good. And then that first airtime hill, it doesn't always have great airtime. Today it's running fast and it does have really solid floater airtime throughout the whole thing. Then you have that drop after the turnaround and it's as good as ever, man. Holy heck, does that throw you out of your seat. And then of course you have a lot of random pops all throughout and the laterals, especially in that final helix, pinning you to the side of your seat. And it's still holding up pretty smooth from the 2015 or whatever retrack. Relatively smooth for a wooden coaster. Still like shaky and out of control. Phenomenal coaster. One of the nearby coasters that does appear to be open is Panda Express. This ride normally has a terribly long wait, even on days that aren't as busy, but it seems to be an absolute walk-on. So might as well go hit that up and giddy up and ride a pony or something. Panda Express, that is a solid, fun ride. It's definitely on the shorter side when it comes to ride duration, but that's why it's great on a day like today when there's no line. That launch is not super fast, but it does have a nice little kick for what it is. And then of course you have that interesting ride experience of straddling a pony, and of course going over the rapids is a fun vibe as well. Good stuff. The heat is definitely starting to pick up a bit. We're not quite over 100 yet. One of the really good ways to cool off is Knott's Berry Tales. The ride takes place indoors with air conditioning, and that's a nice little break from the heat for sure. And in addition to the ride being indoors and AC, the indoor queue has a nice AC. So even if it is a slightly busier day and you do have to wait for this, at least a good chunk of the queue line is indoors with a tiny little bit of stuff to look at as well. So doing Knott's Berry Tales, for those who don't know, that is a shooting dark ride where you shoot boysenberries at boysenberry pies to get them back from these little creatures that are stealing them. It's a really fun ride. I enjoy it a lot. Typically the blasters or berry blasters, whatever they are, work really well. They aim nicely. They shoot the boysenberries where you're pointing them. This time 2 out of the 4 jam blaster thingies were not working at all, which was a bit of a bummer. It was still a fun ride and nice to get out of the heat. It was nice that we didn't have to wait for it. But for a ride that is typically pretty good with having everything function as it's supposed to, it was a bummer that it did not this time around. So as noon rolls around, as you can see, Hangtime is finally testing. Xcelerator is still closed, but I'm happy to see one of the other major coasters opening up aside from just Ghotrider. And while I wait for Hangtime to open up, I'm gonna grab some food at Panda Express, which is a great option on hot days like this because they do have indoor dining with great air conditioning. And if you have a Cedar Fair dining plan, Panda Express does have options for that as well. Look what finally opened up. Look, just keep looking. It'll be there in a second, I promise. Look what finally opened up, Hangtime. So we're gonna hop on that. Look at that monkey. He's getting some Hangtime. So the Hangtime finally opening. Fun stuff. Sat in the back row. Always the best place to sit. Get flung over that first drop. Super fun times. As you can see, I'm getting a little tired from the heat. But having no crowds is definitely super nice, and having a second large roller coaster open at the park finally is nice as well. Doubling back into Ghost Town now, it does seem like we have just passed that 100-degree mark at 1:05 p.m. It's toasty. That running water is looking very enticing right now. I'm seeing a lot of empty rafts. So a hot day, a walk onto a water ride, that does sound pretty fun. I think I'm gonna throw on some flip-flops, save my shoes from getting ruined, and go enjoy some theme park water. And even just walking in this line is already cooling me down a bit. As you can clearly see, there's some very nice shade, and being by the running water, the air is nice and cool. A lot of the animatronics don't seem to be on, but that's okay. At least the water is running and the ride is open.
Well, well, well. How the turntables.
So I escaped pretty unscathed. A couple of slight splashes, but not drenched. Just a refreshing, fun little gentle river raft ride. Fun stuff. But since I've double backed to Ghost Town, might as well take another crack at Ghotrider. Maybe even a few rides, depending on how empty the line is. And would you look at that, straight into an empty station, heading for the back. Gonna be a fun ride. A couple more rides on Ghotrider under the belt. It was running insanely fast for first thing in the morning earlier today. Still running just as good. I can't imagine how fast this thing is gonna be running during Scary Farm if it's running this well in the middle of the day like this. And of course, since it is September, that means Not Scary Farm is right around the corner. So there is lots of evidence of that peeking its head out all throughout the park. Honestly, some of the stuff like these skeletons in Ghost Town, I like those so much, and they fit the area so well. I feel like it'd be fun to have those up year round. And of course, a very great way to beat the heat, get some air conditioning, is going through the gift shops. Knott's has some of the best merch out of any, well, honestly, any theme park, but especially compared to other regional parks that are not like Disney or Universal. Passing by another ride that doesn't have a wait currently, but almost always has a pretty hefty one whenever I'm here. Sidewinder. Take advantage of people not wanting to deal with 100-degree weather and get a no-wait ride on this. That was insanely fun. That may have been the most fun ride I've had on Sidewinder. I don't think I've ever ridden that where I was the only person in the car. So since that was the case, it was very off balance, so I got a ton of spinning. Definitely the spinniest ride I've ever had on that, and a ton of fun. And now I'm joined by some buddies, Drew from Parks Bros and Dylan from Theme Park Obsession. So now I'm not a loner at the theme park anymore. Also relatively new to the park, new for me at least since my last visit, is some additions and modifications to Camp Snoopy, including a new roller coaster. So we will see how long that wait is and potentially get a new roller coaster credit. Some of this stuff is actually looking quite nice. I know when this area first reopened or opened with the new additions, it wasn't like fully filled in and stuff, but it looks pretty darn nice now, I gotta say. And Snoopy's Tenderpaw Twister has no wait, which is awesome. Don't want to wait for a ride that is just for kids, nor do I want to take up an extra seat and make kids wait for a ride that's for them. So can get a shameless kiddie coaster under the belt today. It's so cute. I love that they have little wood stocks on a tower and they have Snoopy in the lead car. Very cute coaster. And without having been on it yet, it looks like it is a much smoother replacement to their old kiddie coaster that sort of tossed you around and shook you up a bit. I'm obviously not the target demographic for that, but what the heck, that was really fun. I think it is like the perfect kiddie coaster. You go around the track twice, no big drops, it's just a turning spiral helix as the main drop. So a very manageable first coaster, but still some speed and some movement to it. You have that little booster section halfway through to get you around the course. Super solid, definitely way better of a kiddie coaster than what was there before. So highly recommend it for the little ones that haven't been on many coasters or even any coasters. Very, very good for a first coaster. Dylan, on a scale of hot to go, what would you rate that?
H-O...
While he thinks, on a scale of hot to go.
H-O-T-T-O.
I'd probably just give it a G-O. It wasn't too hot. There was like good shade in the station except for the one seat I was in. And it goed. This camp swing is another one of the new attractions in this section of the park. Haven't been on one of these before, these tiny, tiny little swing things. Probably won't go on this one either, if I were even allowed to. Okay, just kidding. There's like nobody here, and we see on the sign that we're technically allowed to ride it, so we're gonna ride it. That was super duper fun. It basically just feels like a swing set that you don't have to power yourself, and if I was a little kid, I would want that thing in my backyard. One of the coasters closed today is a coaster that was scheduled to be closed. Montezooma's Revenge is still undergoing its transformation into Forbidden Fortress, I think is the new name that they're going with for it. It has most of the track stripped, as has been the case for a while, and the loop is still missing. The forward spike is completely covered up, and this back spike right here is just the supports with no track. So definitely a bummer that it's taking a while for that project to make progress, but it has made a decent chunk of progress recently, so that's nice. Heyo, 6 hours into the operating day, Xcelerator's testing. We'll see if the wind from this will be enough to cool me down at all. Oh, holy heck. I could definitely feel that it has been a while since I've been on that thing because it felt like my stomach was still in the station even though I was at the top of that 200-foot tall top hat. That launch is a gut punch in the best way possible. Didn't cool me off at all, but it was a phenomenal adrenaline rush. That thing is so good, and I definitely noticed that I appreciated it a heck of a lot more when I haven't been on it in a little while. And now that I've hit up all of the open roller coasters that I want to, I'm gonna go on my favorite non-coaster thrill ride of the park, Supreme Screen. Man, I am so excited for that thing to just yank my stomach out of my stomach. And now it's time for another round of Calico River Rapids because these two were not here earlier and it's still over 100 degrees, so I could use more wetness. Got a lot wetter that time. My back is very wet. Not much else is wet, but it feels nice to be a little cold when it's outside. Very hot.
What
would you rate that on a scale of hot to go? What would you rate that on a scale of hot to go?
Joe, 3-0.
It was like T-O-G-O, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not very hot.
Yeah, there's no
Does
hot.
that mean it did a good job of cooling you off? Or?
No.
So it was H-O-T?
No.
I'd give it an H. You give it an H?
An H, because it did kind of cool me off a little bit.
I'd rate it an H-O. And since we're all three of us are already nice and wet, we're gonna go ahead and get on the log ride next. And my goodness me, it's a true walk-on, no waiting at all. That's awesome. It had a tiny little bit of a wait earlier, so I'm glad I waited till everyone left because I didn't want to be so hot. What would you rate me on the scale of hot to go? Back-to-back water rides, fun time. Not as wet on that, but the wetness was like more in my face and above the waist. But it was fun and refreshing.
I got like 3 times as wet on that one compared to Rapids.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All the old school animatronics on that thing are super fun too. Definitely campy, but they're like mostly all working and super duper fun. The hair has seen a long day of riding coasters and other rides. I'm eating at this place. I forget the name of it always. More limited food options on an empty day like today, especially towards the end of the day. So I just got a basic little chicken buffalo sandwich, but it is better than some parks like basic fried chicken sandwiches. So after one more ride on Ghotrider, in the middle of the train, heading out of the park. It was wild though. The middle of the train felt like how the back normally does. For anyone not familiar, the back of Ghotrider is particularly phenomenal because you get yanked down the first drop and the drop after that high up turnaround. It was running so fast today that the middle felt comparable to how the back normally feels, despite not getting the full extent of whipping down those drops. So a super fun end to the day. Super fun day overall. I would definitely recommend coming to Knott on an overly hot weekday, as long as one, you make sure to hydrate and keep cool in all the ways exemplified in this here video, and two, as long as you are aware that attraction availability may fluctuate a little bit from what you anticipate. I think at the end of the day, more stuff was open than what was supposed to be, so they did end up doing a good job of getting everything opened up towards the end there, so that was awesome. And yeah, overall really satisfying day. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and give it 2 thumbs down if you didn't like it. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notification for more content like this. I think I will post in less than a year, hopefully this time around. And yeah, until next time, bye.